Today we're going to run through the Victron and Arizon components fitted to the Jawa range. I've got one of the boards here in front of me that is designed by Arizon, as well as the Victron multi-plus inverter and the Arizon battery. So let's run through this and see what's standard in the Jawa brand. Starting off, we have the Arizon panels on the roof. Now each model ranges differently, but those panels will run through this 100 to 50 MPPT. And what that means is this MPPT cannot exceed 100 volts coming through, and its maximum output will be 50 amps. We have our secondary MPPT here. Now a few of the newer Jawa models will run some of that rooftop solar because there is in excess of 1,000 watts. So that'll run some of the extra panels on the roof through this 100 to 30 MPPT. Again, not exceeding 100 volts and maximum output of 30 amps. Other models will use this separate controller to run your portable panels that will not require a regulator. Our two breakers here are for the solar, with the PV2 for the MPPT 100 to 50 and the PV1 for the MPPT 100 to 30. We can see on the other side here we have the Orion XS, which is our DC to DC charger. Now that's going to accept charge from the vehicle as you're driving, so depending on your wiring will feed up to 50 amps back into the Caravan's battery. So you can have your rooftop panels and your car feeding the van at the same time. Down the bottom here we have the Turbo GX. That's regulating everything coming through, feeding through this, and running up to our Touch 50 screen, which we'll jump inside the van and have a look at a little later on through this. On the other side here we have our shunt as well as our battery protection. This will actually isolate any charge coming through from the roof or the car and stop it feeding through from the battery. Over here we have our Multi-Plus 2 3000 watt inverter. A couple of the smaller models in the Jawa range may run the 2000 to 80. I've got the 3000 to 120 amp feed in on display here today. When it is plugged in, we'll have a look inside. That will run through its different settings that we can do through the Touch 50 screen as well. Across on the right hand side here, display, we have the Arizon 300 amp lithium battery. In the smaller models, this is your standard. Moving up to the next, we have 460 amp hours, and then into our 2300s as a standard inclusion. So now that we've had a quick look over these components and what they do, let's jump inside this Tawari and have a look at the Touch 50 screen to see what that's putting through. So our Touch 50 display screen here is showing us a bit of information off the main menu here. We're in overview. You can see we are off grid currently, so our shore power is disconnected up here as it says. We currently can see 111 watts of solar as we have a very overcast day here today. Our inverter charger is currently off, so I'm unable to use any 240 volts in this van at the moment for any of the appliances up to 3000 watt. We have no AC loads coming out because we're not using the inverter charger. And our DC loads are currently 115 watts. You can see on our display here, our battery status is 99%. And if we currently keep running at this minus 0.2, we're going to be out here for 9 days and 23 hours. Now that's going to fluctuate as we have solar coming in, more appliances running, and that will change as your feed in and feed out continues to change throughout your trip. We can see if we slide across on the screen, we move to our water tanks. We can see our fresh water tank here. First tank is full at 90%. We've got 108 litres in our 120 litre tank. You can see our second tank here is 35 litres full, 28% of 120 litres. And our wastewater is currently empty, and that's an 80 litre tank. As we slide across again, we have no alarms or notifications. And furthermore, we head across into the settings. So go back to the main overview. What I'm going to show you now is how to turn the inverter on. Simply click the screen You can see the mode here is currently in charger only. Okay, so that means when I plug into power, that means the charger is going to fire up and I can use that. Currently in charger only means I cannot use any of our 240 volt appliances. So if I click on that mode, I can go into inverter only, but I'm going to turn it on. If I click then set, here are a few beeps as our 240 volt appliances such as our aircon and microwave are now receiving power. You can see a little bit of extra draw from their standby is now under load. So we're actually currently now at -3 amps just simply by turning the inverter on and those appliances receiving some power. You can see the change in the display here also says we're now inverting. So we can use any of those power points up to 3000 watts. Want to make sure we don't overload the system by trying to run the aircon, the microwave, induction cooktop all at the same time. You have 3000 watts to run continuously without exceeding that. Do be aware of if you start an appliance while you are running something, the spike may lead it up and trip the inverter. If we now click back into that, if we're finished with the inverter, we can simply turn that over back into charger only so that when we plug in, the charger will turn itself on, or we can turn it off by simply selecting off down the bottom here and setting. Now see the mode is off. As we go back to our main screen, our inverter is off. Do note when it is in off, if you plug into 240 volt power, this will not pass through and feed the batteries from your charger. You do need to have it either on or in charger only mode. Now if we see our solar yield here, 90 watts, again a very overcast day today, especially with over 1000 watts up on the roof. If you want to look at that, we can click on that and we can see the 50 amp charger has some voltage there but not enough to convert over into amp coming in, as well as the 100 to 30 also has some voltage there. If you want to go further into that, you can click on that charger itself and see what that's doing. You can actually go as deep dive into it, check the history of what those panels up on the roof through that charger have been doing. There's plenty of extra information on this Touch 50 screen. Alright, so if you're outside the van and you don't have access to your Touch 50 screen, you can go on and select the Victron Connect app. And then we can look at our app. So I'm currently connecting up to the smart shunt in this van, and it has our state of charge at 99%, our voltage at 13.46, and the current going out or coming in, as well as our power consumption. And the app does have a lot of other as well, including history of the van and your trend. So there's plenty of information through this Victron Arizon system if you wish to deep dive right in to see what your chargers have been inputting and what your inverter's been outputting. So two more outstanding features about this Victron Arizon setup is these all come with 5 years warranty. So your battery system and battery components have 5 years warranty, as well as your solar panels having 2 years warranty. The other awesome thing about the Victron Arizon components is Arizon can remotely log into your system. If you do have an issue and you do have access to Wi-Fi, they can remotely log in to see what the issue you're having is and provide technical support to help you get your problem resolved. If you'd like any more information on the Arizon Victron componentry setup in your van, don't hesitate to look at the manual, contact Jawa or your Arizon tech support.